Hello and welcome to another episode of FinTech Focus TV with me, Toby Babb. Today I'm absolutely delighted, although not in the same formation, but to be joined by the FIX NextGen Steering Committee. Rick, Jack, Ruggy, lovely to have you on the show. Thanks a lot.
Hi, great to be here.
Thanks, Toby.
So listen, we didn't get to meet in person at the FIX EMEA trading conference, but we thought there's too much to be talking about with NextGen not to bring it back into the studio. So I'm really grateful you made the time and come over here today. And we're going to be diving into what NextGen's happening. We did it before, Ruggy, last time when you were in the studio. And I think it's a great movement, and what you guys have been doing has evolved even more from when we spoke last time out. So we're going to dive into what the steering committee's doing, what NextGen's doing, what it means, and everything else in between. But before we do that, let's do some intros. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Toby. So I'm Rick. I am a project delivery manager slash BA, and currently representing the FIX Steering Committee today.
Perfect. That's that.
Jack Hill, Equity Sales Manager at Euronext for UK and Ireland, and also co-chair of the FIX NextGen Steering Committee.
Perfect.
Hi, I'm Rugiyya. It's as you said, second time here already, but let's do it for the public. Rugiyya, I'm from LSE and Turquoise. I cover relationships with the firms trading on both of our venues. And as Jack said, I'm co-steering the NextGen committee with him. I think we're doing a great job, but that in a minute.
So let's talk about that.
I'm very excited.
It is doing a great job, isn't it? You know, and I think the feedback I've been getting has been absolutely superb. So let's talk a little bit about it. In your own words, what is the FIX NextGen Steering Committee, and what's it mean?
So yeah, the FIX NextGen Steering Committee was an initiative set up several years ago as a means to support the future leaders in the trading industry as they obviously get kick-started in their careers, try and support them through several different initiatives that we're working on.
Yeah, and it's fair to say that what we have noticed is historically it would have taken normally a couple of years for people to reach certain level of seniority to be able to have the voice in the industry, to be represented on the panels. And we thought, hold on a second, the times have changed, and maybe it's time when we create that space and give the voice to younger generation before they reach that 10, 15, 20 years threshold before they can make to the panel.
Yeah, I think part of it to do with community as well. FIX has been around for several decades now, and it's kind of, passing the baton on into the 30s now, kind of creating a community to pass the baton on to the next group of people who are coming through at different stages of their career. FIX is obviously fundamental in what we do every day, whether you're on the sell side, buy side, vendors, whatever side of the kind of industry you work on. There's a lot of people who've all coming through at the early journey of their career, and it's kind of getting those people together, sharing knowledge, sharing ideas, and ultimately providing a platform to move FIX on and move on with your career.
And Rick, talk to us about some of the things that you guys are doing at the moment as well.
I think it's definitely centered around that growth piece. I think finding a way to create that kind of early network to help prop people up who may have just entered the industry and only really kind of know their small network within their company. It's really kind of branching that out and actually understanding a cross section of the industry. Okay, I work at a broker. Do I know people on the market side? Do I know people on the buy side? And can I actually link up with people who are in relatively the same stages of their careers and then have that kind of network that grows with you? I think that's incredibly important. And that's something that we've seen, I think, with our senior colleagues, is that everyone knows everyone. And the reason they do is because they've had such an experience with each other as they've grown. So there was such an incentive to actually preserve that for future generations, and that's what we're trying to do.
Definitely, and you see a lot of the events we put on, obviously we've got like a mailing list that goes out, the NextGen kind of community we've got, but every event we put on you see a lot of the same faces, but it's brilliant to see a lot of new faces coming in, and you can see everyone's networks growing and people are growing in confidence to kind of get involved and put their hands up to step in and get involved with what we're doing with NextGen.
I think that's a really important part of this, because networks and community is something I'm passionately believing in. And I love this industry, and particularly the FIX community. One of my favourite events of the year is always the FIX EMEA Trading Conference, the FIX Americas Trading Conference. And you go there and your tribe builds every single year you've been doing it. I've been doing it for donkey's years now. But every time you go there, there's another person you know, another person you know, another person you know. And when you have that sort of peer network, you're absolutely right. Sometimes you can sit there and sit in a silo in your business, and what you know is what you know. And I think this industry is magic in the fact that it's able to connect people and give those opportunities to do it. And to have that in a environment that maybe isn't quite as intimidating of people like you in that sort of space, to give people the opportunity to do that, plus to be able to pick up and develop new skills. And you were mentioning there about the having people on stage and doing all this sort of stuff. And I know that's been something which has been critical to do that. 2 years ago, I moderated a panel, and I think 4 of the 5 people were on a stage in front of people for the very first time. And it was brilliant to see them grow in confidence as that sort of stuff happened as well. And through the other events that you guys have been doing, that's something which you've been focused on too, right?
Yeah, and I actually want to add something to what I said earlier. I think in addition to everything, creating the network within the peers and everything, we've also managed to create a bit of FOMO among the senior members of the industry, where I would
press our hands up, Steve.
I would get a message and say like, oh, can someone younger in my team join the committee? Or because they've noticed, like, say, there were other companies, younger gen represented in the events or the committee, but not from their team. Yeah. And then suddenly this person with like 30 years of experience realizes, well, I want my younger, next gen in my team to be there as well. Yeah. So I think that FOMO also came in effect as part of the whole noise we managed to create. So that kind of brought more leads, more younger people into the team, and obviously helped broaden the network. Among the events, a few initiatives that we run during the year. We have podcast series. We actually filmed one and ready to go. Probably sometime very soon we'll be live. We've so far, I think, we have released 5-6 episodes on average, and we have now like long pipeline of the topics and the people who want to interview. Usually the way it works is someone from the NextGen committee. It doesn't have to be. If someone who is in the NextGen distribution wider network wants to be part of the podcast series, they're always welcome, of course. So one of the NextGen interviews on a particular topic, someone with many years of experience in the industry. Recently we filmed one on liquidity, for example. So, and this is kind of helping build a repository of all the conversations, but very much directed at the next gen. Now, once we cover most of the topics, we might slightly move into more serious conversations where it's less explanatory and more actually discussion, so that we move to the next level where the podcast is made by next gen, not just for the next gen, but for the wider trading industry. But at the moment, the purpose is, so I think I've said it last time as well, but when I joined the industry, there was no obviously textbook. There was nothing for me to refer to quickly learn everything I needed to learn to do my job. So obviously it takes time. You pick up from client meetings, you pick up internally, you read different sources, and then you have to patch everything together. If you're lucky to attend the conferences, obviously due to the ticket limitations, costs, not everyone who is new in the team gets to attend these big annual conferences. So I think another thing we did as part of FIX as well, we are now giving free tickets to FIX NextGen for the conferences, at least one per firm, I'm sure.
I think you can definitely see that at the actual conference.
Yeah.
A lot of
it's noticeable this year.
Yeah, definitely. And we do the NextGen Hub, and there's different kind of initiatives and things that we put on throughout the day for people. And I think you can definitely see the kind of younger crowd getting involved, which is brilliant seeing what we're kind of trying to do here.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of feedback that comes into that. We were speaking off camera beforehand about learning and developing from it, and picking up various bits and pieces and taking feedback from the committee to then make and improve it. I know there was conversation about last year's FIX networking area and how that moved over for the next gen. To expand on that a little bit, mate.
Yeah, no, it's very true. I think the aim for us is always to make something that we can relate to as well. As Rudy's mentioned, we've all started from somewhere, and we've all slowly built our experiences through trial and error, networking, and slowly kind of understanding the financial piece bit by bit. Yeah. And so what we want to aim to do is actually create a system that people can use as a resource to understand more, to network and connect with people, and then have that kind of feedback loop, iterate and understand, is this working? Is this what people want? Because at the end of the day, the steering committee that we represent is supposed to be for the next generation. And that next generation is a wider group of people that can say anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah.
And so we want to try and make sure that whatever resources that we're able to provide, as you mentioned, if it's trainings, if it's just networking events, or if it's actually a platform where they can actually then present themselves and contribute to the industry, it's understanding, is this working for you? And then once we have that, build on it.
Yeah.
How can we make it better? And that piece has always been something that is congruent with what we've been doing. And it's something that we always want to try and strive for going forward.
Yeah.
So understanding the feedback from the EMEA conferences, understanding how we can make them better going forward. The fact that we tried the panels, the debates, these kind of new, I won't say innovative because they've always been around, but at least for the financial piece, this is something that we've never really seen before.
Yeah.
And it's something that we're always trying to push.
And that's spreading
build on.
across the other meetups, right?
Exactly.
We were talking beforehand. This is the work that you guys are doing here in London is spreading across the entire regional format of FIX as well.
Yeah, exactly. So we might soon have like regional representation and like smaller next-gen groups across continental Europe, because FIX does the regional conferences as well, and
More and more so as well.
as part of the FIX EMEA conference, what I think we've managed to do over the last 2 years, get ourselves in the agenda. There is actually now separate dedicated session in the agenda for next gen related events. Last year we started with speed networking and having our corner in the London event, and then this year we took it one step further to do roundtables. Do you want to cover?
Yeah, so with the
roundtables?
roundtables, we came up with the idea, a lot of these conferences, there are different roundtables get put on. I think there was an AI one this year at FIX. There's also the buy-side kind of roundtable they do in the morning. But we come up with the idea as part of the committee, why don't we do a next-gen specific roundtable to purely people who are from the next generation, early stages of their careers, as kind of a sandbox environment, no pressure to talk about a couple of topics, which, one, we're talking about every day in our actual jobs, two, that certain people may not be confident enough to actually go out and speak to in front of senior people about. So the topics we discussed were 24/7 trading and also equity market evolution and different trading mechanisms. Now these are two themes which you're seeing on every agenda at every conference around Europe, but we wanted to give an environment for people at the start of their careers to go out and share opinions, share ideas, form opinions in a safe environment. And the feedback we had from it was absolutely brilliant.
Feedback you had was it was way better than the other stuff.
Well, you said it, Toby. We're not going to say that, but you said it.
But it was great to see so many people getting involved and actually speaking up and hearing different opinions, which you may not hear just on the desk at work speaking to senior individuals.
And it's also about even just being exposed to those topics.
Yeah.
You may be in a situation, especially early in your career, where you're kind of looking after your own environment in your own world. Being in that situation means that, 24/7 trading, I didn't even know if people were talking about that. Let me try and understand and learn more. And then you're in that situation where you've got a network of people on that table that are giving these opinions that they have based off of their experiences, which you may not share at that moment in time because you were just never aware.
Yeah.
And then it creates that discussion. Then afterwards, I'm more than welcome to go and approach, John or Dave or Sarah and say, hey, that comment you made about 24/7 trading, I'd like to know more. What do you do?
Yeah. And the beauty of that is I think it just gives us fresh perspective. I'm a big believer in the diversity of thought, and that's from all sorts of different angles. But the ability for people to, it reminds me of something which happened in the medical profession, where senior doctors wouldn't take the advice of nurses who were in operating theatres, and they'd be scared to speak up because they get patronised on the way back through. And then they changed a couple of bits and pieces where they had this cleared for takeoff, where everyone would introduce themselves beforehand to give the confidence of people to make a decision. And all of a sudden it sort of cut accidental deaths during surgery by huge percentages, just that one particular play that they did. I think it's exactly the same thing in this industry, that sometimes you have to wait your time before you have a voice, but that voice might be one which has got a completely different way of looking at a problem that unlocks something more. And I think this industry has got better at that. It was very hierarchical for many years. It was very insular, with everyone not sharing their homework for many years. So when you talk about this power of community, I think the industry had a deep mistrust of opposition and everyone. And actually what you're seeing through things like FIX and various different events is people coming together, sharing ideas, and working out that actually if we collaborate we can get a whole lot further together, and it's just about the adoption of where that comes through. But different voices I think are fundamentally important, and it's great to see the work that you guys are doing to allow that to come through. Let's talk about the event itself. You guys were there, you got the tickets, so you're talking now about more people from that industry going into it. Why is it good, first and foremost, for people to come there and visit the event? And number two, give us we'll go to each of you, give us your takeaways from what you saw on it, what some of the interesting themes that you took out from that day were.
So for me, I think the key takeaway was that this year, 2026, is year of actions, because everything that is happening this year is a result of work the industry has been doing over the last couple of years. So 2025, there were obviously certain topics that they were key, and like 24/7 trading, retail, all of that, which carried into 2026. So if you think about topics, maybe add to it a bit more on push on tokenization, for example. But overall, very much similar topics that we've seen on the panels over the last couple of years. But for the first time, it's actually happening. So if last couple of years we were talking about it, the planning, now we have dates in the diary, we have deadlines, consolidated tape is happening, all of that. So it does feel like this and /NextJ is that year of action and making things happen. So we moved away from that planning stage into making it real. That was my key takeaway.
I love what they did with it, actually, the agenda this time out. I know they put a lot of thought into sort of finance. I think it was finance at the edge of change, if I'm not mistaken. Apologies to the FIX guys if I got that slightly wrong. But the whole idea was they're looking at regulation, was looking at technology, was looking at people, was looking at all these different colliding opportunities and saying, look, we're in a period of change. And let's have a think about the agenda that does that. I thought it was superb, actually, and totally agree with you on that.
I think just seeing how engaged everyone was in the panels and actually outside as well. I mean, in the panels you see a lot of people challenging each other, but ultimately we all work in this industry. We may be competitors, we may be stakeholders with each other, but ultimately we are all part of this European landscape. We've got one common kind of goal that we're trying to get to. We're trying to grow this in Europe, and I think we're seeing that over the last few years, and actually being in an environment where you can see that being discussed and everyone's kind of getting towards that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you talked there about the atmosphere of it. I thought it was brilliant this time out. There was a real energy about it. I think people were excited to be there. There's loads of thought the place was buzzing. I think
even with like the debate that we spoke about in the last panel, like the last session of the day, doing something different like that and how engaging it was and entertaining.
Well, they were excited about that. It was entertaining, and to have NextGen facing up to someone like Simon Dove, who's difficult.
Well, we had the practice because we had the people who spoke on that panel had the practice for it. We actually hosted a NextGen event the month prior because we knew we were doing this debate. So the audience was pure NextGen, and we actually had a panel purely of people from the NextGen Steerco as kind of like a feeder session. We haven't done that before, and it was brilliant to see people actually being able to speak up on panels, giving that confidence. That's part of what NextGen is, trying to give people the confidence to speak on future panels, to get involved in different things. There's all these different working groups as part of FIX, and it's probably a lot of the same kind of faces on there, and we want to kind of get as much representation from NextGen and from the steering committee, but not just the steering committee, the actual wider NextGen community on these working groups in FIX, whether it's to start with just to kind of observe, to kind of learn, but eventually you will then be in these leadership kind of roles and thought leadership where you're coming up with new ideas and kind of driving change in the industry.
Well, I said it before off camera, see Janek over at Aquis and his development, and now I can't turn up to an event without seeing him on a panel at the moment, which is awesome though, genuinely, to see his development. And I think you can see that it's initiatives like that that have allowed that sort of stuff to happen. Rick, you got the short straw and having to answer it last. What else can we pick out of a day?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I think Jack's kind of mentioned it. It's the idea that you're seeing new faces, you're seeing new people, these people who are up and coming and getting involved in the agendas and in the topics. But I think also you can kind of get the impression that there's appetite for that change, because when I speak to people, either pre or post event, they always mention how, the way that this was structured was slightly different. I liked it. The way that we did the debate was brand new for us, and it was very entertaining. The fact that we got people or personalities up on stage to kind of bash heads a little bit was something that was intriguing for people.
Yeah.
And I think that is what we want to try and carry forward. I think our presence on those discussion calls earlier about the actual conference, how NextGen can help contribute, has helped to influence the way that the agendas are structured. I'm definitely not going to say we did everything, because I did not do everything. But what I will say is that kind of influence, I think, can carry forward. And that hopefully we can build on for future events, not just for Amir, but for other events in general, to help get people involved and to help kind of present that forward.
But how cool to have a voice as well, to be able to be listened to and see those ideas actually implemented at the same time. I think it's brilliant.
I think we're taking that into the Nordic conference as well in Stockholm. So there's going to be just a Gen Z made up panel talking about, I think it's retail participation and that kind of topic. And there's going to be someone from the NextGen Steer Co sitting on that, as well as people not in the committee who are based locally in the Nordic region speaking about that. So it's a great opportunity to hear those kind of opinions from those people.
What I wanted to add to it, actually, to your earlier point as well, I think people will love you for your personality and who you are as a person, but they will respect you for the work you're doing and your opinion. So that's again back to the point, like if someone from NextGen is on the panel and they can do the debate against someone who has, say, years of experience, regardless of the topic. Like this time we picked a topic which was about education in the UK, financial education in the UK. Next time it could be 24/5. Next time it could be 24/5 trading. Again, having that, even though you might be liked as a person, that's when you get respected as well. Like, someone is quite young, but they know their stuff.
Its platform, it's a real career builder, I think, and that sort of acceleration of career is exactly what the group should be doing, and I think it's starting to do really well. A few years ago, I watched a panel on NextGen hosted by, I think, Dr. Robert Barnes, who was on there, an absolute legend of the industry. And it was about, at that stage, what can the industry be doing better to make itself attractive to this industry, to the next generation of people coming through. I think that's been a problem at various different stages. I think, when you saw the tech industry boom further forward, and when I sort of first came into the industry 26 years ago, it was an obvious no-brainer that people come to finance because that's where the money was and the interesting projects were. Then all of a sudden you saw technology move away, and an exodus, a brain drain away from the industry. And I think at that sort of stage, 4 or 5 years ago, it was right. What can we do? We've got a very traditional industry. We haven't necessarily modernised, etc., etc. I think that's come on leaps and bounds recently with things like this, but for lots of other reasons as well. Tell me why you think this industry, and I haven't prepped any of you for this, and it's a thing that come into my head, so I'm just going to give you a bit more time to think about it as I'm questioning it all. But tell me why you think this is such a great industry for people coming through and launching their careers into it right now.
I'd say I think it's so dynamic and fast changing. It's exciting. There's so many different things in the world which are going on which affect kind of our day-to-day job, but seeing this kind of evolution, whether it be like electronification and how that's changed the environment, who knows what it's going to look like in 10, 20 years time when we're still working in the industry. And it's just exciting to kind of see that journey, where it's come from, when it was people voice broking and trading like that, to how it works now, and where it's going to kind of go to in the future.
I think to me is how big and small it is at the same time. Like if you think about it.
I know exactly what you mean.
That's a very good point.
It's a multi-trillion a year industry, right? Yeah. So a lot, especially if you work in London, it's like you're at the heart of the financial services, right? So a lot of money comes and goes. A lot of people work in the industry, yet you know everyone. And you know of everyone if you don't know them directly. So it's quite small at the same time as well.
I love that, and I think it's really underestimated on that element too. That you can build a profile in the industry, you can get known, and there's some great people in it. My career's been people all the way through it, but I think that's a fundamentally part. There's some really great people to be working with in this space as well.
And you might not always have the same opinions, but you're still kind of peers in the industry, aren't you?
Exactly. Yeah. Frenemies, I think they call it. Again, you got the short straw, the last one to add.
Well, I'm used to it now, Toby. Don't worry. I think I'm reminded of my GCSE economics class.
Okay.
And our teacher got us to add labels to a world map. What's our main exports? And you've got places like India, Brazil, America. And I remember seeing the UK there. And naturally, the answer was financial services. And I remember sitting there thinking to myself, what does that mean? Because I think overall the UK and overall in London, there's always this conception that we are the financial capital of the world. And I used to sit there and I think to myself, okay, but what does that actually mean? And I think if you really want to know, and you want to know how the industry has been developed over many, many, many years, why London is known as the financial capital of the world and hopefully still will be for the future, because London's a great place. I think this industry is the place where you can actually see that and understand concretely what that means.
Yeah. Yeah, a great answer. And actually, it reminds me of, there's a very dear friend of mine over at Deutsche Bank, and he spoke about this and said, look, this industry attracts the sharpest minds in the world, and because it's solving some of the most complex and important questions in the world. And when you see the impact that it can have through everything we're talking about, it's an absolute magnet for great thinkers. And that energy, that enthusiasm, we're in the heart of everything that we're talking about here. And to see that sort of coursing through all of you guys and everyone else in between it, I think it's just a magic thing to do. So so if people want to find out a little bit more about FIX and the steering committee and get involved with you guys, what's the best way for them to do that?
I think from the general perspective, FIX Trading Organization website, always a great place. There's definitely contact information there if you want to join the FIX NextGen mail group. We do send a lot of content through there. Equally, us. I think we're always available, LinkedIn. If you have any connection to us, more than welcome to kind of approach. And we are friendly faces. We don't tend to bite much, just depending on when you
Certainly
get
not hard.
Yeah. But yeah, and even just through regular FIX channels, if you know someone in the industry or you want to get in touch with someone on the events team at FIX, that's the best way to do it.
And that means connectivity, it means a network, it means the podcasts, it means the events, it means education around that, mentorship.
We have mentorship as well, so you can get like someone from a different company with like years of experience to mentor you for the next year, and then we will do rotation again. So that's another thing.
Yeah, we do it. We've done in the past, and I know we've got some planned potentially later this year, but like educational kind of series as well. So that'll be an event on. We'll get a professional speaker in on how to public speak, something on personal brand, how to network, these kind of topics. So, and then usually followed by a networking drink or like a breakfast afterwards.
Nothing too bad with that part. Sorry, Karen.
No worries, Toby. I think the best thing about it is that you can always try it.
Yeah.
You can try and see what works for you. If you enjoy going to the events, go to the events. If you would prefer to just be on the mailing list so you're in the know, you can do that as well. There's no hard commitment to, okay, I've signed up now, I must go to everything. But at the same time, we encourage participation. We encourage people to get involved. So it's always as much as you need, while at the same time, if you've got that appetite, there's always more.
Yeah. Do you know what? I said at the start of the show, we had this conversation last year. We didn't do it at the event. We brought people back into it, and we talked about the committee. And I was slightly concerned that we'd be repeating old ground. But what I love about this is the progress. When you think about where the FIX NextGen has gone, and what you guys are doing now, and what's again you spoke there beforehand, the hypotheticals of what's happening in the industry. This year feels like it's the change, and I can absolutely feel that. It feels really good and matured in terms of where it's come through. And I have a feeling that's only going to get more so, isn't it?
Yeah, and we're open. We want to hear from people. What is there anything else kind of we can be doing, or anything people want to see? If there's a specific podcast episode people want to see, if there's a specific training event or something like that, get in touch. We're always open and interested to kind of move this forward and keep this going.
Yep.
Great sharing. So look, I said at the start of this, I had three people who are podcasters now themselves doing the NextGen podcast. Felt very intimidated by it. It's been absolutely brilliant having you all on the show. Thanks so much for coming in, and thank you all for watching. We'll see you soon on the next episode of FinTech Focus TV. Thanks a lot.